This modification has been pending since at least last year, Judge. The parties in their divorce decree have 50-50. Sometime in the last couple of months, and we can get you the exact dates once we get the evidence going, but sometime in the last couple of months or so, a CPS report came in and a family-based services case was opened. We'll hear from Ms. Jones on what the concerns were. We believe the concerns were reports of domestic violence between mom and her boyfriend. We also believe the evidence will show that the boyfriend, although it's a very old charge, is a man that has been to prison for aggravated assault. Pointed a gun at somebody, his own brother, many years ago, but went to prison for that in 2005. And the reason we're concerned about that, Judge, is twofold. Number one, the evidence is going to show, and I don't think it's contested, that the divorce decree has a morality clause in it. And mom has told dad, basically, I don't care, I'm not going to follow it, I'm moving in with the guy, and is currently living with the guy and has been living with the guy for some time. The children, at least from the 14-year-old, we have, and we expect she would tell you if that came up in y'all's conversation, we believe that when the children spoke with CPS, some of this was divulged, that yes, there is some fighting, maybe a lot, maybe not, but there is fighting and domestic violence and things going on between mom and boyfriend. At least that's what they're telling us, and not CPS. That's what the children at least are telling us. We're not sure what they told CPS, but that's what the children have told us. And then we're also concerned, Judge, because we believe there are substance abuse issues at mom's house. We believe there are alcohol consumption problems. We believe there are, even at a minimum, marijuana consumption problems that are adversely affecting the children. We don't necessarily care if mom wants to smoke marijuana or drink a beer. We care if it negatively impacts the children, and we believe the evidence will show that it is negatively impacting the children. You add to that, Judge, that their youngest child suffers from some learning disabilities, dyslexia, auditory processing disorder, and that there are quite a few things that need to take place in his life that we, at least from our position, feel that we are not getting enough support from mom on to really give that child what he needs. So as to that child, it's a little more particular. We're concerned, but because he's kind of a fragile child in that sense, very sensitive to this stuff, even more so maybe than a normal child. And so we're worried about that. So the short version is then, Judge, that we are asking for temporary custody of all three children. We're not necessarily asking that mom be supervised. This was not a takeaway TRO. We are asking that mom have standard possession order, but that there be no boyfriend, no boyfriends, nobody. Her doing the visits, that there be no alcohol nor consumption of any other illegal substances during her periods of possession. And then depending on what CPS tells us today, we would also ask, somewhat one-off, that if there are any still services pending that mom is expected to work, if that's the case, we would ask the court to at least encourage her, if not order her, to comply with those services. And so that's where we are today. Oh, and then lastly, if the court is persuaded to move custody, we think that the 14-year-old is not really going to be in contest, just for what it's worth. We think that's not even going to be a fight. But as to the other two children, if you do award dad temporary primary custody, Judge, we are also asking that his current child support stop and that you determine whether you think it would be a good idea to order mom to pay any child support. We're not technically asking for any from the perspective of we need it, but at the end of the day, we do think she ought to be ordered to help on some level. So we would ask that she be ordered to pay, if custody changes, child support that you feel would be fair and appropriate, even if it's less than guideline. That would be okay with us.
Okay, what do you mean about, what were you implying about the 14-year-old? Do you think she wants?
Oh, I think mom is willing to give dad temporary custody of the 14-year-old. Okay. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe so, but I could be wrong. I know the evidence will show, Judge, that for some weeks now, mom has not exercised any visitation with the 14-year-old.
All right, and one more thing, the 50-50, is it week to week or some other routine?
Week to week. Week to week.
Okay, all right. Mr. Slander, did you want to make an opening?
I can make a shorter one than that short version that Jonathan just did.
Okay.
First of all, Judge, let's keep in mind that this is a request for change of primary managing conservatorship on a temporary basis. So we've got to have those extra hurdles for him to overcome. Now, when Jonathan says this is a modification that's been filed last year, he means in December. So it's not really last year. It's 4 months ago or 3 months ago. CPS got involved, I suspect, because father called CPS and got CPS involved. It's our understanding that whatever CPS had or did has been dismissed. No action was necessary. There was some suggested service plans or something like that, but nothing officially took place, and it's over with as far as I know. Yes, the 14-year-old hasn't come in the last number of visitations since some of this started because mother hasn't forced her to come. That doesn't mean mother's giving up on custody of her or giving up on her in this case. That just means that mother hasn't forced her to come because of the 14-year-old's present frame of mind. This all started, Judge, when the 14-year-old was disciplined at home about eating in the bedroom instead of eating in the kitchen with the family, and then it surfaced in that they took her Wi-Fi away as a means of punishment, and of course, I guess that struck a nerve with her, and now she's made all these allegations that there's things going on at the house that it's just not true. It's exaggerated and not true. There's no drug use by this mother. She's taken drug screens for employment purposes in the recent past. There's no alcohol abuse. You'll hear from the evidence that Mr. Cochran schedule has him. He's not even home with the kids during his 1 week period half the time. He can't even function with these kids without the help of my client's mother to get them to school. Yes, she is in violation of the court order for morality clause. She couldn't make it financially. There was some discussion between the two parents about allowing her to do that. After that discussion about allowing her to do that, then suddenly, when she actually pulled the trigger to move in together, he pulled that pulled the rug out from under her and said, "No, I'm not agreeing to that." After she had already made her plans and had committed to that. So, Your Honor, her boyfriend has no felony convictions. He's never been to prison. All of this is exaggeration. Just like some of the other things, the child has ADHD, not what he claims he has, so that they're not getting cooperation from dad, although they're trying to spin that around as cooperation from mother about this child's problems. So first of all, Judge, I don't think there's enough evidence to change custody on a temporary basis. And then secondly, even if we don't enforce the 14-year-old's visitation schedule, we're not giving up on custody of her, and there should be no change in any child support or anything else. Or if there's going to be a change in possession, it needs to go to Mr. Cochran having standard possession and get off this week-to-week stuff.
Okay. All right. Jonathan, do you want to go ahead and call Ms. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. We called Janice Jones.
Okay. Oh, wait, I forgot to swear everybody in. Would you raise your hand, Ms. Jones? You're not
Yes.
driving, are you?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
sir.
Raise both hands. Anyway, all right. Renee.
Oh, well, hey, you got him. Here you go. I'll leave him up there for a while. Here you go.
Anyway, okay. All right. Would you swear in, Renee, please?
Yes, in the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones, good morning. I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Morning.
You're employed by CPS, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
Let's cut to the chase then. Were you asked to investigate some type of report or complaint made as to the 3 Cochran children?
Yes, sir. On January the 2nd, we received an intake report with a concern.
Go ahead. What was the nature of the concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Well, the report was received January the 2nd of this year. Primary concerns, neglectful supervision of the children, allegations against the mother, Miss Annette Cochran.
And what did you do then to begin that investigation, and who were you able to speak with?
Well, I reached out to both mom and dad. I was informed that mom and dad share custody, joint custody, 1 week on, 1 week on. And just so happens that whenever this report was made, the children were with their dad for the week. So called him, let him know that a report was made, and scheduled a time to come out and meet with him and the children. And I scheduled a separate time to meet with mom following the visit with the father and the children.
And generally speaking, I'm assuming then you did those visits.
Yes, well, pretty much what this is, with our department, we have two types of investigations. We have traditional investigations where normally we go in and we do come up with a disposition, a finding of abuse or neglect. And we have another type of investigation, which is an alternative response investigation, which is what this report came in as. Whenever reports come in, our statewide intake, they have a chance to look over the reports, and based on what's in the report, they make a decision. Will this be a traditional investigation or an alternative response investigation? So with alternative response, the decision was made due to there being no serious physical abuse, no serious sexual abuse, and children all being over the age of 5. What we do is we step in, we make contact with the parents or caregivers. The first thing we do, we let them know that someone's concerned about the children, and that we'd like to schedule a time to meet with the family as a whole, if possible, to sit down and just discuss how things are going in the home, outside of the home, just to get a good feel of how things are going. And our main focus with alternative response is to make sure that the families have access to whatever services or resources there are, in their communities, just and to build on the strengths of families. Of course, we assess, first thing we do, of course, is we assess immediate safety. Before anything, we assess the safety of the children, immediate safety. So I had a chance to go out and meet with Mr. Cochran and the 3 children. And once again, I'm sorry.
How did that initial visit go with Mr. Cochran and the kids?
Children were observed to be happy, healthy. I had a chance to speak with them about how things are. Since mom's house was the main focus of concern, I focused more with them on how things were, at their mom's home. In meeting with the children, it was quite clear that Hayden is the child who would be more happy with her dad. Brianna and Jackson really had no complaints about mom's home. When speaking with families, I always like to ask what is working well in the homes. When I spoke with Jackson, and I want to know with him, what do you like about living in mom's home? And Jackson said mom is safe, she's kind, she has a big responsibility. I don't know if he meant that she's a responsible person. He said that she's protective. Brianna says she likes having her own room. I'm guessing with Hayden out of the home, I guess she gets the bedroom to herself. But Brina likes having her own bedroom at the home. Hayden, in contrast, she said that there's nothing that she likes about the home. And in speaking with the children a little bit more, we ask other questions, discipline, what happens for discipline. I always like to ask, okay, what, do you get enough food to eat? When I spoke with Brina and Jackson, I asked them, what do they like to eat when they're at mom's house? So they focused on, they like spaghetti, garlic bread, things like that. So they were able to say that they do eat, real food. In contrast to Hayden, who said that they only have snacks at the home. And at some point, Brina had to correct her and say, no, we have food. You just don't want to eat what we have. So in speaking with them, I just sense with Brina and Jackson, they are content at mom's. Hayden's not content at mom's home. And of course, I wanted to try to dig and get a little bit deeper. I'm sorry. Did someone say something?
No, we're listening. Keep going, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And in speaking with them more, I want to try to figure out what is it? Why does she not like being there? I know at some point in the interview, we did get to the point of there being the Wi-Fi, there being an incident. I guess shortly before she went to dad's and didn't want to come back to mom's, there was an incident where I guess she was being disciplined and the Wi-Fi was turned off. I know that she was not happy with that. In speaking with the children about their relationship with mom's boyfriend is Mr. Michael Reed. He does live in the home. In speaking with the children about their relationship with Mr. Reed, I didn't get the impression that there were any issues. I spoke with Jackson and he spoke about there being one time whenever he was playing with Mr. Reed, when Mr. Reed was a little rough with him. And at that point, it was made known to Mr. Reed that Michael felt that, oh, you're playing too rough. It hurt me a little bit. So he told his mom and they addressed it with Mr. Reed. And Jackson said that things were fine after that. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, is there any, but I mean, as far as I could get from that visit, the only child that was not content at mom's house is Hayden. And Hayden made it clear that she doesn't want to go back to mom's house. I spoke with them. I know that in the report it said something about domestic violence and fighting in the home. I spoke with the children. I was able to get from the children that there's no physical fighting, that mom and Mr. Reed do have verbal altercations. And I was like, well, okay, I know with one, I was like, well, let me hear about, things that make them fight. Now, I know that Brina did say that with Hayden gone, that there's less fighting, less arguing. And so I asked about an incident and Brina said that there was that incident after the Wi-Fi, because I wanted to know about what are these fights about. But the main one that Brina brought up was after the Wi-Fi incident, I guess their mom was trying to sleep. And I'm guessing after Mr. Reed had turned the Wi-Fi off, I guess he and Hayden were having an argument about it, to the point to where mom woke up and said, hey, I'm trying to sleep. And at that point, I'm guessing it resulted in a verbal altercation or a disagreement between the mother and Mr. Reed. But I pretty much got from that summary of what happened from Brina that argument was based on the Wi-Fi and Mr. Reed and Hayden having words. Trying to see.
Tell us about what you observed as far as you've told us quite a bit about what the children, your discussions with them. We appreciate that. Tell us what, if anything, you observed in the respective homes as far as for example, let me ask, did you observe anything at mom's house that could be, I guess, said to be drug paraphernalia, any kind of pipes or any type of thing like that? No.
And you have to keep in mind with alternative response, we call ahead of time. Everybody knows that we're coming. No, I did not observe anything. I know that in the report, it made a mention of concerns for the living conditions, home being cluttered. I had a chance to visit the home and walk through the home. In the living room, there are like some boxes. I mean, some things, but they're pretty much scattered a little bit, living room, a little bit in the kitchen, scattered, but they're on the wall. They're out of the way. There's no danger to anyone walking, no trip hazards, nothing like that. Actually, a nice apartment, ample food in the refrigerator. Had a chance to see the bedrooms where the children sleep. Those are clutter free. No concerns for the living environment in mom's home.
From what you observed that day,
from what I observed that day. Also, what we'll do is we'll touch on the allegations of the alcohol and the substance abuse. Spoke with the children. They did report that mom and Mr. Reed will drink. No report of there being any intoxication. They said that mom is nice when she drinks. The only difference, I asked them, do they know what it's like for a person to act? How does a person act when they're drunk? So they weren't able to say that they were drunk. They have ever observed them drunk after drinking. It was pretty much a consensus between the three that mom seems nicer. The only thing with Mr. Reed is they say he talks loud. He's louder after he's drank. I did have a chance when I did speak with Mr. Reed about that. He claims that he's a little hard of hearing, and that may contribute to it somewhat. But in speaking with the children, I did not get the impression that drinking is an issue with them. I did not observe any alcohol in the home. Let's see, no alcohol in the home. As far as drug use, allegations of drug use, marijuana, bong. I know that when I spoke with Dad, he did make mention of there being a past. Whenever, I guess around the time of him and mom separating, or during the time when they were together, that mom would have drug paraphernalia, including a bong, and that was prior to the divorce. In speaking with Hayden and Brianna, both of them say that they have smelled marijuana, mom smoking marijuana, although they hadn't seen her actually smoking. They've smelled it. The two of them also reported that mom keeps marijuana in a jar. I believe in the vehicle, I believe somewhere in the home. I think it may have been in her bedroom before. I did ask Hayden when was the last time that she had known of mom to smoke marijuana. Hayden had said 3 months prior to my visit, around 3 months prior to my visit. I spoke with mom about the accusation of her marijuana use. She denied smoking marijuana in the presence of the children or while responsible for their care. What she reported was that she has gotten the CBD she said bud stuff from a vape store before. Now, what she claims was that it was from a promotion and that she ended up not smoking it. So what I did, I visited with mom actually on January the 3rd, same day that I saw Dad and the kids. Asked mom to drug test. Since she said that she didn't smoke marijuana. So visited her home January the 3rd. On January the 4th, the next day, she did call me and tell me that she had tested positive for COVID. So she did eventually get around to doing a drug test, but of course she was asked on January the 3rd, and she went on January the 9th. She did that drug test, and it was actually negative, but it turned out to be a diluted negative. Now, a lot of times, because it was a urine drug screen, a lot of times when you do the urine drug screens, if there's a lot of water drank, and I don't know the reason for the diluted results, but I asked mom, I called her and said, hey, your results are in, they're diluted. Could you tell me, what could be the possibility? So what she's claiming, and what she claimed was that due to her getting over COVID, she had been taking drinking a ton of water and vitamins, and so she's claiming that I guess her diluted results were due to drinking a bunch of water due to her illness, which is a possibility. I can't say for sure.
Real quick on that, Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, real quick on that. Did she ever show, and I know you probably didn't ask because it probably wasn't a suspicion you had, but did she ever actually show you any type of proof that she actually had tested positive for COVID?
I don't believe so. And you're correct. I did not request it. And one thing with the alternative response investigations, they are voluntary.
Right.
So whenever we ask for parents to drug test, it's one of those things where unless there's something to show that drug use has had an effect on the children that is current,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where with alternative responses more voluntary, we'll get it.
Okay.
Pardon us not.
Okay, hang on.
Ms. Jones, you were cutting out.
Considers the
Hang on.
fact that her and dad do.
Hang on one second, Ms. Jones, you're cutting out. Let's give it about 5 seconds, see if it sinks back in here.
Okay. I have to pull over.
It's looking better. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, and because I don't want to spend all, you got a lot to say, I know, and it sounds like you did a great job with the investigation. Last question, tell us then what recommendations ultimately you left mom with as far as services or resources that you encouraged her to use. If you can recall.
What I did yes, sir. Well, what I did provide her with, since she said that she did.
Well, you're cutting out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually traveling. I'm actually off today on the way to San Antonio. So I may have to pull over, or maybe, I don't know. Is it better now, or would it be best if I pulled over?
I bet Bucky's has a good Wi-Fi signal.
I think I'm a good ways away from there. I now pulled over. I mean, is it a little better?
No, not really.
Is it better now or not?
Hey,
not.
hey, Judge, with your permission, can she turn her video off?
Yeah. Yeah, you could, is that okay with you, Mel? We might get a better, okay. Can you just do you know how to turn your video off? Because that way we can, just hearing you is probably more important.
Okay, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Probably. Okay.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay,
Let's try to wrap this up, guys.
Yes. So last question, and then I'm going to pass you over to Mel. Yeah. What services or resources ultimately have you encouraged them to use?
Due to mom's admission, she'd only admit to doing the CBD currently, but she did admit that she had last used actual marijuana back in 2021. That was what she reported. What I decided on was after speaking with mom, speaking with dad, it appeared as if there's no question that, there were issues with the divorce, and the children are having to deal with mom and dad. And speaking with mom and dad, it doesn't seem as if there was a lot of communication. That, the children could benefit in counts. What I did was I referred the children to Buckner's Family and Youth Services, due to the fact that there appears to be parent-child conflict. And that if Hayden were to return to her mom's house,
okay, Janet,
with someone about parent-child conflict. Also, Buckner's,
Janice, wait, hang on one sec. Just wait just a minute, because we're losing you again. Hang on.
yeah, Janice, can you look at your phone and whenever you get a good signal, do you mind pulling over for just a minute?
We're almost done with you.
Well,
it's on here 4 out of the 5. That's why I'm amazed that it's not doing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Hey, short answers though, because if we can't hear you, we need to tell you that we're having trouble. Okay.
Look, I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
All right, Mel.
Okay.
Ms. Jones, did I understand you to say then that there's no immediate danger to the children, correct?
There was nothing to know, sir.
Is that correct? The no immediate danger?
Correct.
No safety issues, correct?
No safety issues, other than just the kids saying that they had smelled mom smoking marijuana before. Of course, she denied it. If that was something that was going on a regular basis, that would be but like I said, as I'm speaking with Hayden, her saying it, that she had smelled it, I guess, 3 months, as if it was something that had,
Janice, you're breaking up again. Hey, just short answers, and just pause, and then because I got to tell you, because you'll get all the way through all this before I'm
okay. I'm gonna
so kind of little short answers.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Well, no immediate safety issues.
Okay. And even if there's alcohol in the house, that doesn't mean there's a safety issue either, does it?
Correct. It does not.
And certainly, wouldn't it be fair to say that you might have to take with a little grain of salt what Hayden says, since she's the one that's unhappy with being disciplined by taking her Wi-Fi away?
It would definitely take you having to speak with her more to explain the reason why she feels the way that she feels.
And it would require you to either make an assessment yourself, or at least keep that in mind, that she may not be telling you the total truth. Isn't that true?
Well, the way that she sees it may be a little bit altered, or well, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm sorry. As far as I know that.
Wait a minute, ma'am. Wait a minute, ma'am. Just answer my question first.
Go ahead and ask me again, sir.
Okay. Isn't it true, ma'am, that knowing what her that she's unhappy with being disciplined for her Wi-Fi taken away, and she won't come visit mother, isn't that an indication that maybe we shouldn't totally believe everything she says? That's a yes or no answer, ma'am.
I mean, well, I guess you could say yes. It's a possibility.
All right. Because nobody knows whether she's telling the truth except her, correct?
I would guess so. Her.
Okay. All right.
More assessment will be needed in speaking with the siblings as well.
Right. And everything you got from the two younger children indicates that there's no immediate danger and there's safety with regard to being in mother's home, correct?
Correct.
And even they confirmed, or at least the Brenna, the middle child, confirmed that there was an issue with Hayden and Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you been made aware that Dad has admitted to the children that he's the one that called CPS?
Well, I know that whenever I spoke with Mom said that. Mom said that she was told by one of the children that he said it.
Okay. Conveniently, right around the same time all this litigation started.
On the day that I called her, I believe it was either the day that I called Mom initially or on the day of my visit, Mom reported being told by one of the children, I believe possibly Brina, that Dad made the report.
Right in the middle of this litigation, right?
It was January 2nd or January 2nd. I mean, it was either January 3rd or January 2nd or January the 3rd.
Okay.
Was when I talked to Mom.
Right.
It was on the 3rd.
Which was not long after she was served with her papers. Were you aware of that?
When was she served with her papers?
She was served with her papers right around that same time. Were you aware of that?
I wasn't made known. I wasn't made aware of when she was served.
Okay. Did Dad tell you anything about his work schedule?
We did. I don't believe we talked about it in detail, but he did share with me that when he works, that that Miss Cochran's mother will help with the children. The children also confirmed that they call her Mimi, that she will help watch them when Dad works as well. And even when the mom works.
Did he tell you anything else about his work schedule?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Any redirect, Jonathan?
Nothing further, and thank you, Ms. Jones, for interrupting your vacation to attend today. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Hey, Miss Jones, are you going to go to the Riverwalk?
Probably not. I'm not a people person. Too many people for me. I like the easy life.
Well, where are you going exactly? I mean, not exactly, but
well, actually, I'm from Silsbee, Texas, and our boys basketball team, they've made it here to, I guess, the state championship. Yeah. Hopefully we can win today and go for it tomorrow.
All right. Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, good luck. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
All right, Your Honor, our next witness we would call Annette Cochran.
Okay.
Gotta get off of here.
Yes, I'll get rid of you in a
Okay, all right. Thank you.
There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Whenever y'all are ready, go ahead.
She hasn't been sworn.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Jonathan, have your client raise his hand. Let's get that done right quick. Can you raise your hand, ma'am?
In the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Jonathan.
Yes, Ms. Cochran, good morning. Let's cut to it. You're aware that on page 13 of your divorce decree, it states that it is ordered that neither you nor Jason shall have an unrelated person with whom they are involved in an intimate relationship present at the home from 8 p.m. until 8 a.m. the following morning when in possession of the child. You're aware of that, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you're not going to follow that, are you?
Jason and I discussed this at length.
So you're
Changing
not,
it.
so you're not going to follow that, are you?
Currently, I'm not.
Isn't it true, ma'am, that you actually told Jason in this discussion you're referring to that you wanted to see, in fact, well, I mean, we're not in court. I've got the text message. Let me just ask it this way, Judge, I need to show her this exhibit. Can we do screen sharing?
Yes.
I'm going to call this exhibit 2, and ma'am, I report to you that this is a text message between you and Jason. I just want you to tell me if you recognize this text message.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Do you recognize that text chain there? And I've pre-marked this as exhibit 2 for today's hearing. Do you recognize this text exchange between you and Jason?
Yes.
Okay. So you're in the gray, he's in the blue. Is that correct?
Yes.
We just want to make sure we know. Okay. All right, Your Honor, move to admit exhibit 2.
Any objections?
Okay. So,
I'd like it to
ma'am,
be identified. What? John, I didn't say anything yet. I'd like to be
Oh, I'm
identified when it occurred.
ma'am, when did y'all have this conversation?
It doesn't say.
And I'm asking you, when do you recall? About when was this? In the last 6 months? In the last year?
I think August, maybe.
It was right before you moved into the apartment, right? Because you had just signed your lease.
Correct. So I believe that was August. I think we
So-
moved in August 18th.
So is it fair to say then that this conversation took place around the beginning of August of 2023?
Yes.
Okay, move to admit.
No objection.
All right. We'll call that, I guess, petitioners 1.
I've got it as 2, Judge, sorry.
Oh, 2.
I had the decree as 1.
Okay. That's all right. It doesn't matter. 2 is admitted.
Ms. Cochran, you tell him that you need to sit down and talk. He says you say, I'm moving to Sour Lake, signing the lease agreement today. And he says, okay, what do we need to talk about? You said moving Jax to Sour Lake. Michael is moving with us. He responds, we still have the morality clause. You respond, you can either have it removed or personally, you can just move past it. Is this what you're talking about when you say y'all reached an agreement for you to have your boyfriend move in with you?
No.
Okay. So because he's not agreeing with you in this exchange, is he?
No.
In fact, he goes down and tells you that, look, I don't think this is a good idea. I get it that it's cheaper. You know, I'm with you on the financial side of things, but for their safety and stability, the morality clause needs to stay. Now, he does say we can modify it to a year, though, maybe, as far as the point of negotiation. But then further down, you tell him, I'm not waiting a year. You're not giving me permission here. I'm merely giving you a heads up on the move and making sure we still agree on putting Jax in the other school. And then the very last part of this particular thread, you even tell him it's not a negotiation. I'm moving this month. So isn't it true that you and he did not, in fact, reach an agreement that you could move your boyfriend in? You just told him you were going to do it.
At this point in time, when this text message was made, that's correct.
Okay. And you moved in, a few days later? I mean, there was no negotiation is my point. You were going to do it just like you said, irrespective of what he wanted or desired.
Previously, he had said that we were going to change it to 6 months. And I was well within the 6 months at the time I moved in.
But you told him it was not a negotiation. I mean, y'all weren't negotiating. You were just going to do it, right?
Why would I need to ask my ex-husband's permission?
Because you agreed to it in the divorce decree, ma'am. Does that mean anything to you?
I didn't agree to it. I was forced into it.
So you were court ordered to do it. Does the fact that a court ordered you to do something matter to you?
It does.
Okay, but just not in this particular rule.
And the fact that I could not make it on my own, and the fact that Jason made that happen, I
It's
needed
Jason's-
help.
So it's Jason's fault that you can't make it on your own?
Jason never let me work. Jason never let me go to school.
Hmm.
I had a menial job, making barely ends meet, and having to rent out of the city where my kids go to school was costing a lot.
Now, you're aware that your boyfriend pled guilty in 2002 to an assault causing bodily injury, right?
In 2002,
Correct.
I know of one in 92.
I don't know about one in 92, ma'am. I'm talking about the one in 2002, which he was ultimately sentenced for in 2007 after his probation got revoked. Are you aware of this?
He says that didn't happen.
Okay. Is he here today?
Yes.
Good deal. All right. We'll ask him here in a little bit. All right. I want to show you next what I've pre-marked as Exhibit 3. Is this a fair and accurate copy of the two of the, well, let's see. Why is that not? Well, hang on. I got the wrong one here. Hang on one sec. Well, I'll start there because I need to find page 2 of it. I think I messed up the page 2. Isn't it true that this is a GoFundMe post that you made on GoFundMe sometime in the last 3 months?
Yes.
Okay. Now, like I said, I thought page 2 was on there. I've got page 2 right here. I just need to pull it up. And let me show you page 2 real briefly. There we go. Hang on a sec. Now it's not letting me share. Okay, share. There it is. And is that page 2 of that? I think, is this, y'all seeing the hello, good people? Yeah, okay. Is this page 2 of that GoFundMe post?
Jonathan, you didn't send page 2 with your exhibits.
I know. I'm asking her if this is page 2 of her exhibit, of her
We don't
post.
know. You didn't send it to us as an exhibit.
It doesn't matter, Mel. There's no discovery pending. I'm asking her if this is the words she wrote on the internet on her GoFundMe page. Ma'am, did you post this on GoFundMe?
Can you enlarge it so we can read it? Because I can't read it. I don't know if she can either. We were able to look at paper copies of the other things without having to read it on the screen.
I mean, I can zoom in a little bit. Is that helping at all?
Well,
That's about as big as I think you're going to be able to make it.
I mean, she could pull up her GoFundMe and look at it and tell us if we got the right copy.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you wrote these words. When did you post this?
Shortly after being served. I don't
Okay,
know the date.
so sometime though, probably around in December of 2023
Likely.
is when you were served. Okay. So Your Honor, move to admit Exhibit 3, then her GoFundMe post.
Any objections?
no objection.
3 is admitted.
So ma'am, you write in here, the living situation alone at their father's house has become unhealthy due to rodent feces and black mold in the children's rooms, and not enough beds for all of them to sleep in. Also, their father is failing to provide materialistically, and the children are having to live out of suitcases and trash bags as they pack up and go to the next house every Sunday. What on earth are you talking about?
The truth.
You think he has black mold in his house and rodent feces?
I know he does. It's to
Okay.
the point that it's getting on the children's things that are in that room. Now, I do understand that he has since tried to rectify this since my post was made.
When did you
Ma'am,
make
you
the-
go to
Hey,
you go
let me
to
ask
his
you a
house.
question. I'm sorry. Let me ask
Yeah.
a question real quickly. When did you post this, ma'am?
I believe it was in December. It was shortly after I was served with papers.
All right. Go. I'm sorry, Jonathan. Go ahead.
So, ma'am, the point is you did post this, and when was the last time prior to posting this you had actually been at Jason's residence?
Earlier that December,
And what were you doing there?
picking up my children.
Isn't it true that there's been some occasions here in the last year where you've gone over to the house, his house, and you've just really started cussing and leaning into him and fighting with him about Jax and about school decisions and other things in front of the children?
No.
So if we have a video of you using the F word about 17 times in a row, screaming at the top of your lungs at Jason with the children at the house, that would not be you.
I know there was one incident where he had riled me up really well, and I did say some cussing.
Because part of the problem, one of the things that y'all disagree about is what exactly your son Jax needs. Is that correct?
Yes.
He wants to get him taken to get some more work done on this auditory processing disorder. Why do you think your son doesn't have that?
I don't know that he does or doesn't. Jason's never sent me the diagnostic report, and he didn't tell me that he was having him evaluated until after he had already done it.
Okay. And he may have a different story on that, but your perspective is you don't know whether he has it or not. But if he does, you want to get him help, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But I
And
also think he needs to be evaluated for all the other things as well.
what other things?
The ADHD.
Okay, he's been evaluated for that, right?
No, Jason refused to turn in the paperwork.
Okay. And he'll both of y'all get a chance to tell y'all a story on that. But
You object to sidebar remarks.
well, I'm trying to keep my client. He's whispering. Just hush.
You're
Sorry.
objecting to it.
Y'all also have a disagreement about whether or not his current school actually has sufficient resources to meet your son's needs, don't y'all?
We don't agree.
Understood. And where does he currently attend?
He's currently at China Elementary in the HJISD.
Okay. Now, as far as, okay, where do you work, ma'am?
I work in Beaumont
And where?
at a nursing home,
Which
Beaumont
one?
Healthcare Center,
Okay. And what do you make?
about 14 an hour.
Okay. And what is your work schedule?
I work 4 on, 2 off from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
So you work 32 hours a week, roughly, on a 6-day rotating schedule?
More or less.
Looks like. Okay. So if it's 4-2, how does that fall into weekends and things like that?
I work shift work, so some weekends I do work until 2 p.m.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Do you ever work overnights or outside of this area?
Not recently.
Okay.
I recently switched jobs.
Gotcha. There's been some comments made about your mother being a help, you know, a childcare provider for both you and your ex-husband. That's true, isn't it? Your mother does provide childcare for both of y'all when needed,
When needed.
and your mother actually lives on Jason's land. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the children love her, enjoy their time with her.
Yes.
Okay, and so are you of the opinion then that Jason should not be using her for those occasions when work pulls him away for a little bit?
I think he abuses the situation.
Define that. Why? Why do you think he abuses the situation?
Because for the last several months, when Hayden has not come to me on my week, he stays gone for the entire week, and she is there alone.
So the truth is, during your weeks of possession with Hayden, your mom keeps the child, not during dad's.
When he's at work, she keeps him.
And he's
But
at work
during
during
my
your
week-
week.
Hang on,
During my week.
hang on.
Sorry.
I need your answer again.
Yeah,
I
please,
couldn't hear
please repeat your answer, ma'am.
During the week when Hayden refuses to come to my house, she is there alone. He stays with his girlfriend in Atascocita. He does not come home. Even on Christmas Day, he was not home. During his weeks, she watches him while watches the kids while he goes to work. But again, they are alone at nighttime. My mother has to take care of her sister, and those kids are alone in the house.
How close does your mother live to Jason's house? I mean, let's be honest. How close is it? It's the same property, but physically, how close is it?
A few feet, a few yards. I really don't know.
They're not at home alone, ma'am. They're at home with your mom who lives with Jason, right?
If she's in her home and they are in their home, then they are alone. And Hayden is hypoglycemic and has a tendency to pass out.
And look, I'm not trying to split hairs here, but again, Jason home includes this mother-in-law house where your mother lives, right?
Several yards away.
Yards, not miles or even, I mean, it's part of the house, isn't it? Just has a different roof.
It's not part of the house.
Okay. Your mom doesn't pay rent, right? That's part of the arrangement.
Right.
But you think Jason is abusing the situation?
For him to go and sleep at his girlfriend's house for a week while his child is there? Yes.
So it would be better for him, I guess, just to move his girlfriend in and defy the court order.
If that's what he wants to do, I don't mind what he does. That's his decision.
You don't see a problem with that as far as the children are concerned?
I see a problem with his girlfriend, yes.
Oh.
But in general, no.
So you'd be okay with her moving in, you just don't like her?
I don't like the way she's treated my children.
Gotcha. Do you smoke marijuana?
No.
If your daughter, your oldest daughter, sent dad a picture of a pipe outside her bedroom window on your front porch, would she have been making that up? Is there no pipe out there?
I believe there was one.
Okay. What
It
happened?
was trash.
Why was it trash?
Something that whenever we moved into the apartment, it got thrown out on the balcony with all the other stuff we didn't know what to do with. When I finally went out there and cleaned up, that was one of the things that went into the garbage.
Man, the truth is you went down and you got some of this urine detox stuff and you drank it. And that's why you were about 6-7 days into taking the drug test for the CPS lady when she asked you to, isn't it?
No.
You've done that before though, haven't you?
No.
You've never done that. Is your mom going to agree with that when I ask her the same question?
Sure.
Okay.
If she even knows what I do.
I mean, she was in the car with you one of those times when you bought the hair detox and the urine detox stuff, wasn't she?
No.
Okay, well, we'll ask her. Let me ask you this then. Why did you not go the day she asked you to go?
Because I had COVID.
Where did you go get tested for COVID?
My job.
Okay, at some point in the future, I guess you could produce that in writing, that you actually had a COVID test?
Yes, and I have text messages on my phone from my ADON who gave me the test.
Gotcha. Now, as far as drinking goes, isn't it true that, well, let me show you. I'm going to show you what I've pre-marked as Exhibit 4. Are these fair and accurate copies of at least 2? Where's my mouse? Page, oh, it looks like just one of those pages got posted too. My gosh, what happened here? PDF software didn't work right. Let me show you this way. Okay.
Hey, it's been about an hour. Let's go ahead and take a short break, maybe
Absolutely.
10 minutes. Okay, let's take a short break and we'll resume in a minute.
Okay.
I think you were going to pull up something.
Yes, I want to show you, ma'am, what I have. I keep losing my mouse. What I have pre-marked as Exhibit 4. And Mel, I apologize. I wasn't trying to be sneaky. My PDF software apparently only did the first page of these. So it's this one, and there's 3 Facebook posts I want to show you and ask you if those are your Facebook posts. So this one, I want to ask you, is this your Facebook post? And did you post it in the last, let's just say 12 months?
I don't know when I posted it, but yeah, it's mine.
Okay. Is this your Facebook post? And did you post it in the last 12 months?
Again, I don't know when I posted it, but yes, that's mine.
And then lastly, is this your Facebook post? And did you post it on August 27th of last year?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, move to admit Exhibit 4, those 3 Facebook posts.
If there's no objection, 4 is admitted.
Okay. So, ma'am, you're telling us that, I mean, do you drink?
Yes, I'm a legal adult.
How often do you drink?
Maybe 2 or 3 times a month, if that.
Okay. Do you day drink?
No, I have a job.
But even when you're off, you don't just sit around the house and drinking like you posted on Facebook. That was just a joke, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Same thing here. This was just a joke too. This you honk, we drink.
I thought that was funny. So yes.
And then lastly, give us money, we are pretty. Give us money, we are pretty. Again, was that just a joke? This you reposting Megan Stanberry's post of we need lazy days, day drinking by the pool, and doing mommy crafts. I'm sorry, that was you telling Megan y'all need that. I'm sorry.
Yes.
That was just a joke.
Exactly.
Okay.
Between best friends.
Okay. So again, just like with the pipe, if your daughter would have, took some pictures of your house with alcoholic beverages in the refrigerator, you do keep alcoholic beverages at home. Is that correct?
I am a legal adult.
So what happened to them whenever CPS showed up? Because they weren't there. She said there was no alcohol in the house. Did you throw it all away?
They are up high in a cabinet.
Nothing in the fridge? I mean, you got to have something in the fridge, right?
I think there was a couple of wine coolers in the fridge.
Okay. Now, lastly, and then Mel's going to ask you some questions, obviously, but Mr. Cochran has had to file, I think, at least 2, if not 3 enforcements against you as to this divorce decree prior to today's proceeding. Is that correct?
And he's filed a lot on me.
And on those 2 enforcements, you were held in contempt on both of those, weren't you?
For the vehicle?
Mm-hmm. And for the second one as well, right? There was 2.
I don't know what the second one was.
Well, we'll ask Jason. My question to you is this, ma'am. Do you just think that you don't have to follow a court order?
No, that's not true.
Okay. So you understand it's important for you and Jason both to honor the court order that needs to happen, right?
I think we both do.
Okay. Pass the witness.
All right, Mel,
Yes, sir.
redirect, I guess.
Annette, if you have smoked marijuana, and you tell me how long it's been since you smoked marijuana, first of all?
Since before my divorce.
Okay. So marijuana was something that your husband knew about when y'all got divorced. So even if there's a suspicion that you smoked marijuana since then, that's not a change of any kind of circumstances since the divorce, is it?
It wouldn't be, no. He knew all about it.
This job you have now is a relatively new job, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have to be drug screened for that?
Yes, sir. Twice.
Did you pass the drug screens?
Yes, sir. Twice.
Have you ever flunked a drug screen for any employment purposes since the divorce?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, with regard to living with your boyfriend, had there been some conversations with your husband before that text message in August where y'all had discussed if somebody had been with somebody for 6 months, that would be okay to go ahead and live together?
Yes, sir.
And had you been with Mr. Reed for more than 6 months when it came around to August?
Yes, sir.
Although Mr. Cochran said in his text message at the end of that he wasn't okay with it, had he given you the impression he was okay with it before that?
Yes, sir.
Was the only time that you got word from him that it was not okay was after you'd already pulled the trigger and signed the lease.
Yes, sir.
Um, did he ever communicate to you after that date? Once he learned that you had moved in with Mr. Reed, that it was not okay until he filed this lawsuit.
No, sir.
So in September, he didn't say anything about it. Is that right?
Correct.
Didn't file a lawsuit in September or a motion to have you held in contempt. Correct?
Correct.
He didn't do the same thing in October, did he?
No, sir.
He didn't do the same thing in November, did he?
No, sir.
And until he filed this thing in December, were you aware that he was unhappy about the living situation?
No, sir.
Okay.
He-
Y'all had been exchanging the kid week to week, all that period of time.
Yes, sir.
Did he know where you live?
Yes, sir.
Did he know Mr. Reed lived there?
Yes, sir.
Before Hayden made any allegations about anything, describe your relationship to the judge with you and Hayden.
We were inseparable, best friends. We talked about everything, hung out together all the time. Anywhere I went, she was right there, glued to my hip.
What changed, and when did it change?
I guess in early December, Hayden and Michael had tied into it because Hayden wanted to bring food into her room, and the rule was no food in the room. Hayden, he told her, you know, hey, we're not doing that. Come on out. And she came back and cussed him out and told him, I'm doing what I want. And so his retaliation was to take the internet away for 2 days.
And how did she accept that punishment?
Not very gracefully.
Now, where were you doing all this?
I was trying to sleep because I'd work the next day.
About what time of day or night was this?
It was well after dark, and I want to say like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
What are your concerns about Hayden? And we're talking about the 14-year-old, almost 15. What are your concerns about Hayden staying at Dad's house constantly?
I have been told by Jason's neighbor that people are coming at all hours of the night, coming and going. Hayden's leaving.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Don't repeat what somebody told you. Tell the court whether or not Hayden has admitted to you that she's sexually active.
She is.
Okay. Are you concerned she's not getting proper supervision at Dad's house to be able to sneak out or get boys in there after hours?
Very true.
Are you concerned that Dad won't agree to take her to the doctor even now that he's got her full time so that she can get birth control pills or something?
That is correct.
Have you had this type of birds and the bees talk with Hayden in the recent past?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to see that she gets some type of birth control so that she doesn't accidentally get pregnant?
Yes, sir.
She has a steady boyfriend.
Currently, yes.
Okay. Do you believe that Mr. Cochran's in denial about this sexual activity and or the need for birth control?
Likely.
Has he told you he thinks it's going to make her start having sex?
Yes.
But you know she'd already what do they call it? Horse already out of the barn now, or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So, with regard to the relationship with your mother and him, she's in a little precarious position today, isn't she?
Yes.
She's afraid that if she discloses too much about what's going on in Jason's house, she's going to get evicted.
Yes.
Jason, even when he works, has to leave very early in the morning, doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
When you have the kids, how do they get to school?
Either I take them or Michael will take them.
And how do they get home?
I pick them up.
Because you get off at 2 if you're working.
Correct.
Okay. And then you're with them the rest of the evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you fearful that Jason has exaggerated a lot of things to empower Hayden to feel like she can just stay away from you?
Yes.
Even if the court keeps custody with you, you understand there's going to have to be something to help entice Hayden to come back during her time with you.
Yes.
Okay. You haven't forced her because of her desire not to come up to this point in time. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this litigation was pending, so you weren't able to set up any type of plan to do something.
Correct.
Now, did you do the GoFundMe page because you're needing to raise money to pay me?
Yes, sir.
Did you do anything to your house to conceal anything when that CPS lady came by?
No, sir. I did my nightly sweeping and mopping. I went to bed, woke up, she came over.
Do you think there needs to be some type of counseling with you and Hayden to get her back on track?
Yes.
So you'd be happy to have some type of counseling for her, family counseling, or something the court might suggest to get Hayden's mind right.
Absolutely.
No matter where she lives, she needs to have some type of relationship with her mother, doesn't she?
Yes, sir.
There might be limited resources from yours and or his end to fund that, but she needs something. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have concerns that father's going to try to move the kids to Atascocita?
He has said that he is.
He told you that?
Yes, sir.
Take the kids with him and change schools and everything?
Yes, sir. He wants to move in with his girlfriend.
Under every circumstance, you think it's in the children's best interest to remain under the geographic restriction?
Yes, sir. He's the one that asked for that in the beginning.
Are you representing to the court there's no safety issues, no immediate danger to the children at your house?
No, there's not.
And you think it'd be in their best interest for the custody to remain the same? We just make some adjustments with visitation with regard to Hayden, counseling perhaps with her, and either keep the week to week or make it standard possession for Mr. Cochran.
Yes, sir.
I pass witness.
Jonathan, redirect, I guess.
Briefly, Your Honor, Ms. Cochran, let's assume, just hypothetically speaking, that y'all had actually reached an agreement that after 6 months, y'all were going to be okay with some type of modified Morality clause. When did you meet your current boyfriend? When did y'all start dating?
I want to say it was October of 22.
Did you ever tell Jason that you did not start dating this man until after your birthday in 2023, which would have put y'all's beginning of y'all's relationship sometime around May?
We made it official on my birthday,
Which was when?
May 4th.
And when it was the first time that he was introduced to the children?
June or July.
Okay. So May 4th, y'all make it official. June or July, he meets the children. And by December, you're telling the court that it's in this children's best interest for them to live with him half the time.
Yes.
Not only are you asking the court to approve that, but you're also asking the court to approve that he actually be allowed to discipline these children.
No.
Well, you said you were asleep and that Hayden said something ugly to him and that he disciplined her and took the internet away for 2 days.
That situation is correct. And then it was fixed.
Might that have something to do with why Hayden feels a little distrustful of you, that there's this guy that she doesn't really know that is now supposed to be her, stepdad authoritarian role? Couldn't that be confusing to her?
I'm sure it could be if she had bothered to speak to me on it.
Well, you were asleep.
I was at the beginning.
Okay. So what is the rule between you and your boyfriend on how y'all are supposed to approach the discipline with the children? What latitude or authority have you actually given to him as it relates to the discipline of both you and Jason's children?
He has to come to me and speak to me on it so that I
Okay.
can take care of the situation.
And he didn't that night, did he?
That was before we laid down the ground rules.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming he's also disciplined your other two children?
With the internet before we stopped that.
Okay. As far as Hayden's sexual activity, are you saying that currently, as we sit here in court today, that Jason is allowing Hayden to be sexually active?
Jason refuses to put her on birth control. He says it'll be a green light for her to do as she pleases. The fact that she's already doing as she pleases is one thing.
Why do you think he's doing as she pleases?
I'm sorry?
Hang
Why
on.
do you... Let her catch up, sorry.
Well, I didn't understand your question and she was answering, so I didn't get any of that.
My question is this: why do you think she's, quote, doing what she wants?
Because there's no one there to stop her.
I mean, your mom is during your weeks, right?
She is in her home with her sister, or
Okay.
in Houston with her sister.
And Jason's there the rest of the time, right?
No, not always.
Okay. Isn't it true that the first time Hayden had sex with that boyfriend y'all are talking about, that was during your week while she was staying with you?
That'd be false.
You let her go to her boyfriend's house without adult supervision, and that's where they actually engaged in the sexual behavior.
No. Jason took her to his grandparents' house, had a talk with his grandparents about not letting them be alone, and they still did.
And that's when you think was the first time it happened.
That's what she told me.
Okay. Okay. As far as Hayden getting counseling, you talked to the CPS people about the resources and services available, right?
My children are all enrolled with Buckner's currently.
Okay. Have you spoken with their counselor?
Yes.
And so you know that Hayden is receiving counseling.
That's what I am told.
Okay. And you support that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Nothing further past the witness.
Any recross, Mr.
Nope.
Schillinger? Okay,
No further questions at this time.
thank you. Call your next witness, Jonathan.
We call Jason Cochran.
Okay.
Jason, this is your microphone and your speaker, so speak towards it.
All right.
Okay. And Judge, if I need to zoom in on him, y'all just let me know.
Okay, go ahead.
So Mr. Cochran, tell the court, before you hired me, there was some discussion earlier with Ms. Cochran about you didn't do anything in September. You didn't do anything in October. You didn't do anything in November. What legal action did you take as early as September of last year to try to get some resolution to what you saw as this thing kind of unraveling here?
Excuse me,
So-
Jonathan, excuse me, could you zoom in? Because I can't see his face to
Yeah.
evaluate his demeanor or anything about his,
No problem. No problem. Y'all give me just 5 seconds here. Want to see my face, Mel?
not this early in the morning.
Hang on, there he is. Okay, now let me tilt down.
There you go.
Is that good, Mel?
Yes,
Can
sir.
everybody see him?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So, Mr. Cochran, what steps did you take? Well, first of all, what was your primary, or even, what were your concerns, and how soon did you at least try to take legal action to do something about it?
Immediately after that text exchange, she said, "There's no discussion about this, what I'm doing." I started looking around for different lawyers around the area. My previous lawyer, Judson Dawes, he moved up to the Dallas area, so I wasn't able to use him anymore. So I had to find a new lawyer.
Slow down. She has to pipe it all down.
Sorry.
Did you finally find somebody?
I did.
Who?
Adam Floyd.
And that's who filed the lawsuit for
He's the
you.
one who started it all. Yeah.
Now, for whatever reason, that did not get filed till December.
Right. After lots of going back and forth, asking what's the big holdup. And
But just for sake of putting a date on the calendar of when you actually took some affirmative step, do you recall when you cut him the check to start work?
second week of September.
So it was September of 2023 when you thought you were starting the process.
Right.
Okay. Without going into too much detail, you have since discharged him from representing you and obviously hired me.
Correct.
And here we are.
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you call CPS because Mama was violating the morality clause?
That is not the reason why I called CPS.
Why did you call CPS?
She was posting things online that were accusing me of not having a good home for the kids to live in. The GoFundMe post. And
That really got under your skin, and understandably so. Do you have black mold in your house?
no,
Do you have rodent feces all over your house?
no,
Are your children living out of a suitcase?
no.
In fact, we heard CPS say that Mama apparently is still living out of boxes in the living room,
Correct.
but you're not.
I'm not.
Where do you live?
At my residence, I've lived there for 14 years.
And where is that?
1196 Florida Street, Nome, Texas.
Nome.
And Nome,
Okay. And where do you work?
Baytown.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a firefighter EMT.
How long have you been a firefighter / EMT?
Almost 15 years. Maybe.
And you provide the health insurance for the children?
Yes.
And you're not asking for that to change?
No.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the week to week goes and all of that, you're asking the court to basically just make some small adjustments here to go ahead and slide the calendar down to Mom having standard possession, but there be no boyfriend allowed around the children right now.
Correct.
Or at a minimum, the boyfriend not be allowed to discipline the children,
I would not like to have him there considering his history.
especially the overnight.
I'm sorry, hang on just a second. Repeat that. I would not like to have them there. What?
I don't want the boyfriend there even overnight, during the times of morality clause, that's acceptable, but when they're getting ready for bedtime, he doesn't need to be there.
So in other words, if she, goes to lunch with the guy, you can't control that.
Right.
And as long as he's not physically harming the children, we can't really point the finger, right?
Correct.
Your concern is what the children may have observed as far as fighting between Mom and Dad. Is that what I'm understanding?
Fighting.
Was that reported to you by the children?
Yes.
Okay. Apparently it wasn't quite that strongly reported to CPS, and that's okay, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's not happening, right?
Right.
We're not glorying in this.
Hopefully not.
Okay. But you would like the morality clause followed.
Followed.
Are you following the morality clause?
To the T.
At some point in the near future, you're hoping that you and your girlfriend do get married,
Yes.
but that'll be on y'all's timeline.
Our timeline.
And you're not asking the court to lift that morality clause even for your benefit.
No.
Okay. Tell the court a little bit about your work schedule and when you need the assistance of your ex-mother-in-law.
So I work a 24/48 schedule. So I'm on for 2 days straight. I'm off for 4 days. And I do not pick up any overtime during the week that I have all the kids together.
And pause for just a minute. Let's repeat that schedule because I want the judge to understand that. You said 2 days on,
Correct.
24-hour shifts.
Yep. 48 hours altogether.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
Yep.
continuous shift.
Continuous 48 hours.
4 days off.
I'm off for 96 hours.
So you literally have the exact opposite schedule that mom has, other than your schedule being around the clock for your 2 days.
Correct.
You're 2 days on, 4 days off. She's 4 days on, 2 days off.
Correct.
But those days don't match up in any way, do they?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
She hasn't told me her schedule, so I don't know.
But I'm just saying, y'all didn't do the week to week based on that back in the day when y'all decided to do week to week, did you? That wasn't the determining factor, was it?
Correct.
That's just a coincidence that y'all schedules are kind of opposite as far as how many days off everybody gets.
Right.
Okay. Now, as far as where you work in Baytown.
Yes.
So you commute from Nome.
Right.
Okay. So if you're at work for those 48 hours straight, and you said you never pick up overtime, so you never work more than the 48 hours.
While I have the kids in my possession.
Understood.
Okay.
So during your weeks, and you have all 3 children, you're gone 2 out of those days, maybe a third at most.
Depending on how the week schedule falls. Correct.
Okay. So no more than 3 days out of the 7 are you at work.
Right.
When you're at work for those up to 3 days out of 7 that you have all of the children, is that when your ex-mother-in-law steps in and helps?
Yes.
But has she also become just a part of the family?
She is part of the family.
You love her, don't you?
Yes.
You love what she does for your children.
Absolutely.
Are you ever going to evict this woman because she loves her daughter?
No.
That's not what that relationship is about, is it?
No.
Okay. Tell the court then whenever you leave when you don't have all 3 children and it's just you and your 14-year-old. And just for context, when did your 14-year-old stop going to her mother's house?
Early December.
So it's only been a few months.
Correct.
Okay. It hadn't been this way for a long time.
Right.
Okay. So when you go for that week, when the other kids are with mom, do you find yourself using your ex-mother-in-law more?
A little bit more because I use the opportunity to pick up extra overtime to help catch up on medical bills, life bills and everything like that.
And does your daughter seem to mind that she spends that extra time with her mother-in-law for that night or 2 when you're out of town during the off week?
Whenever I talk to her, she's never had a complaint or problem about it. And I check in with her daily with everything.
And as far as this idea that she's being left alone to do whatever she wants, you have a security system at your house. Is that correct?
Correct.
What type of system is it?
The doorbell camera, it gets a full view of the entire front yard from property line to property line.
Is there any way to get onto your property without that Ring camera sending you a notification?
No.
And is that how you've had it set up for some time?
For well over a year and a half.
So whether you're at home or not, if it's one of these occasions where you happen to be working, but your oldest daughter is with your mother-in-law because she's not going to her mom's, if somebody were to try to come to the house, be it a boyfriend, be it Domino's Pizza, would you get a notification?
I would.
If grandma tried to leave, would you get a notification?
Yes.
If your daughter tried to walk off the premises, would you get a notification?
Yes.
If a boyfriend tried to walk onto the premises, would you get a notification?
Yes.
Have you gotten any of those notifications since your daughter has started staying with you exclusively?
No.
Okay.
Nothing past when she goes to bed. And every night my mother-in-law will be over there in my house with Hayden, spending time together, or Hayden would be over at her grandmother's, my ex-mother-in-law's house. So they're always together. I can see whenever they go to bed and there's no concern.
Do you drink at all?
No.
Do you smoke anything?
No.
Does your girlfriend drink?
No.
Does she smoke anything?
No.
Is there any pipes left over because of a moving incident at your house?
No.
Is there any alcohol on a top shelf out of reach of the children?
Absolutely none.
Are there any wine coolers in the fridge?
No.
Okay. And is your girlfriend, has she ever been arrested or pled guilty to a violent crime ever in her life?
No.
Okay. Have you?
No.
Okay. Let's shift gears and talk about your youngest son, Jax, for just a minute. How old is he?
8.
Now I know there's some debate about whether he needs to be in a car seat or not.
Right.
He's 8. Why does he need to be in a car seat?
He doesn't meet the height or the weight requirements
Have you pointed that out to his mother?
multiple times.
Does she care?
I can't tell whether she cares or not, but her parents does not seem to care.
Let me rephrase the question. Has she taken steps to make sure he's in a car seat?
No.
Okay. And again, he's just a little 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Average a little. Yeah.
As far as his height and his weight?
Yeah.
He's not a big kid.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that is, again, illustrative of her attitude about rules in general?
Yeah. She doesn't.
How many enforcements have you had to file on her
This would have been the third.
as far as the morality clause goes?
First for the morality clause. First one was she was supposed to move out of my house July of 22.
And it was a failure to comply with a move out order.
Right. And
Okay.
then in January, I took her to court. So 5 months after she was supposed to move out, I was working with her, giving her an opportunity to find a place and everything. 5 months later, she still didn't move out. And that's when I filed that first enforcement. She failed to appear to that one, but she ended up moving out within that time period there.
What about the second one? What was the nature of that enforcement?
She was refusing to return the Tahoe that she failed to pay for.
So although these enforcements were not child related and were property related, what does it tell you about her willingness or ability to follow court orders?
If it's convenient to her, she'll do it, but other than that, she won't.
And like she told you in that text message, she's not exactly negotiating with you on these points, is she?
Never negotiated.
Okay. Back to Jax then. We talked about his car seat needs. What are his other needs? What is wrong with Jax?
So he has dyslexia, and through his ARD meetings that we've had twice a year, the last one, they were trying to remove him from services, and they're trying to whittle down his 5 days a week services one-on-one down to 2 or possibly 3 times a week.
And that's the school he's at now.
Correct.
You attended that meeting.
Hardin Jefferson ISD, yes.
Did you-
Both myself and Annette were there.
So the recommendation that they made at the time was that they were going to back off a little bit.
Right.
That makes you nervous.
It made me nervous, and I was very vocal about I don't like that because he needs the help. They also took away his speech therapy, which I disagreed with also.
So what have you done, not to necessarily circumvent that, but to further try to get your son some help he needs? What have you done now outside of the ARD system to try to assist him?
So myself being dyslexic and having auditory processing disorder, I see the signs that my son has and how they're not being fixed in the school.
And that's because you experienced the same things as a child.
Myself, yeah. I've already been through all this.
So this is not something new to you
Right,
because you lived it
right,
as a child.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the symptoms and the signs in him.
right.
And I'm object to, he's leading every single question. I
Okay,
just
don't
object to.
lead.
Okay. Tell me what you've done to help
Okay.
outside again of that ARD system.
So in that same ARD meeting, I requested them to test him for auditory processing disorder because the things I see are just not lining up with what they're saying. They had 3 Vanguard assessment forms filled out already by teachers, 2 of which don't have direct involvement with them, loose involvement with them. And they all look familiar or similar to the one. And the Vanguard assessment, they all said, oh yeah, he has ADHD, inattentive ADHD. You need to go get him on medication. So that's the request. That's according to these, teachers there at the school who have no authority to diagnose ADHD or anything like that, or say he needs to be on medication.
So let's pause for, let's breathe. So
Okay.
up until that point, it sounds like what you're telling me is that they had recommended, hey, look, we happen to think, and 2 of those opinions were based on people that don't have any direct involvement with your child,
Loose involvement.
that we should just back off and medicate him.
Right,
It's ADHD.
right.
From your personal experience with auditory processing disorder, in your experience dealing with that personally, is that a medication problem?
It's not a medication problem.
Okay, so that's one of your concerns.
Right. I did not want to medicate him just right off the bat and mask all the other problems.
Understood. Are you getting him or have you had him tested for auditory processing disorder?
I have.
And
And
when did that take place?
right at the beginning of the year,
Did you inform mom?
I did. I
What was
said
her-
Jackson has an ear appointment in a couple days or whichever it was.
So you told her before it happened.
Before it happened,
What was her response?
she said okay, or I don't remember exactly, but she was okay with it.
Did she go?
No,
Did you share the results with her?
I believe I did. If I
Okay.
did not, that was a mistake on my part, but.
And maybe you didn't send her the actual report, but did you ever convey to her, look, the doc said he's got this?
The doctor considered not completing the assessment because of how bad his auditory processing is.
So the assessment is in process still in that
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
It's not complete yet.
Well, he has a complete diagnosis of auditory processing disorder.
I understand.
Yeah.
So the diagnosis did come out of that testing
Yes.
of he does have auditory processing disorder.
And the audiologist is not able to diagnose if it's ADHD or not. She said there is a small comorbidity of it possibly being ADHD as a little side, but not the main thing. His main problem is.
You don't object to what the audio person said is hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay.
Your belief is that that's the primary problem.
Correct.
There might be some ADHD in the mix,
If there is, I was told it's very minimal.
but either way, that would probably require some additional testing. That was not the purpose of the testing you did, right?
Right,
Okay. Or that you had done.
right.
Okay. Okay. And if he does in fact have ADHD, are you willing to make adjustments in his life as necessary for that?
Yes, and diet, lifestyle, teaching style.
Okay. Are you scared that if the child remains in his current school district, they will simply go straight to medication?
Yes, like they
Um,
recommended.
Your plan would be then to do what moving forward with Jax?
Continue looking for a better school district than what Hardin Jefferson is able to.
So you wouldn't move him out of school immediately.
Hang on. Then what Hardin Jefferson's able to,
Speak up a little bit right there so she can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Sorry, that wire's, actually, I can unplug the
I got
wire.
it. I'm good, right here.
I think you just, it sounded like you
Too
cut him
fast?
off.
Okay, repeat that last answer. What is the plan moving forward with Jax?
I don't intend to immediately move him out of a school district. I need to find him a better school district than what Hardin Jefferson can offer.
But if he needs to stay there for now, at least he's somewhere.
Finishing off the school year, he's at least getting the minimum, the state recommended dyslexia hours, like time in the seat, which is 5 days a week.
Are you technically living in Nome? Are you zoned for that school district?
Yes,
So you couldn't change him school districts right now unless you moved anyway.
correct.
Are you planning on moving right away anytime soon?
No,
At some point in the future, if you and your girlfriend get married, might that then be the time to have that discussion?
at that time, yeah.
Okay. But right now, there are no immediate plans to say, oh, next month we want to move in together.
Right, there's
Okay.
not.
Okay. From your understanding then of what Jax has, do you feel that not only will the school need to be probably changed at some point in the future, but that home life environment would need to change at both homes?
Yeah,
What types of things from your experience with this disorder, what is the proper environment or the ideal environment for a child with dyslexia and auditory processing disorder?
so I'm still learning about, I'm not a specialist on it. But I've learned
Just from you, what
Yeah.
helped you, I guess, and what would you like to implement for your son?
quiet environment, one-on-one tutoring, reading every night helps him a lot.
Are you doing those things now?
Yes. Well, not the tutoring. I can't afford a private tutor for him right now. But reading with him, correcting him whenever he mispronounces things all the time, which I'm not happy about them taking him off speech therapy because if you talk to him, you have to work hard to understand them.
Irrespective of what the judge does with custody, would you like some type of permission, I guess, that even if mom were to object, that you can at least get him into speech therapy and continue with that?
Yes.
Okay. Up to this point, has she been supportive of that?
We have not really talked in depth about it, but
Okay. So if she is supportive of that, that would be a good thing, right?
it would be a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. You believe your son really needs that and that would be in his best interest.
Speech, but more so help with auditory processing, learning how to listen.
Okay. So in summary, then, are you asking the court today to find that the situation at their mother's house is less than optimal and could endanger their psychological and emotional well-being, at least as to the evidence that's been presented, and to go ahead and award you temporary primary custody? You can't move, can't change schools right now. And to give mom standard possession and to rigidly enforce that morality clause and to really start to follow the rules here.
Yes.
Do you think that would benefit all three of your children?
they would definitely benefit by seeing people follow the rules.
And even if Brina, God bless her, loves her mama, doesn't want to, be separated from her mama, do you think that even in spite of that, this would be best for all three children right now?
Yes.
And whatever needs to happen, if that were to happen, whatever needs to happen then as to child support or anything else, whatever judge wants to do, you'll live with.
Yes.
As it relates to just kind of an alternative possibility today, if the judge goes ahead and awards you temporary custody of your oldest child, but does not do anything with the younger two, as to custody at least, okay? Do you still think are you still asking the judge to consider adjusting child support appropriately, since that will be an added burden for you, financially at least, in having her full-time?
It has been, yes.
Okay. Then that's all we have at this time. Pass the witness.
Mr. Shalander?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cochran,
You
Hey,
cut
you
out,
don't-
Mel.
We can't hear you, Mel.
I accidentally turned my speaker off. That's why.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Verizon man, can you hear me? You called CPS because you got embarrassed about that allegation of mold and roach feces all over the place, didn't you?
I wasn't embarrassed about it. I was afraid of all there was not one factual truth inside that post that she made.
You agreed with Annette to move Jax to Sour Lake School, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You only disagreed with it because you found out that she was going to be living with Mr. Reed. Isn't that true?
No.
Your own email, the own text message that your lawyer introduced in evidence seems to support that you agreed to that, though. Do you not understand that, agree to that?
So the big fight that we had with her just going ballistic on everybody, that was well before she even mentioned having a boyfriend, probably by a couple weeks.
Well,
and that was the argument that she was wanting to move Jackson over to Sour Lake, and I said no, he needs to stay here because this is where his teachers are, his friends are for right now. We're not going to move him in the middle of the school year.
and you knew that the Sour Lake people, that elementary school, had better programs for any of his conditions, whether it's ADHD or hearing process problems or audio process problems. You've been aware of that, haven't you?
No, because the special education people I've been talking with at China Elementary, they were telling me that China's the better place.
I object to what people told him.
Sustained.
Okay.
So whatever we have going on with regard to Jax and his ADHD or audio process problems, that's not causing an immediate endangerment for him, is it?
As far as his safety, no, but his
Okay.
developmental
And-
progress is being dampered.
Okay, but it's not an immediate developmental process, is it?
It's the crucial years of developing his brain. I don't want him flipping burgers for a job in his future.
All right, well, how long has that developmental problem been going on?
He was recently diagnosed after we kept on prompting the school district to test him for dyslexia. And at first they refused because they said that he couldn't be retested for a certain period of time. It'll mess with numbers, with their statistics and stuff. So he finally got tested and things improved for a little bit. And we sort of hit a plateau. So
Hang on. Y'all were talking at the same time. I got things improved for a little bit
and then he plateaued and no progress. And that's when I kept on prodding and poking, figuring out what else is going on.
When was that?
This last ARD meeting.
When was that last ARD meeting?
I have it in my calendar.
2024?
I believe it was that one.
After you
No,
started
it was
this lawsuit?
it was not 2024 because that was after that ARD meeting. I wasn't happy that they said no, we're not going to test him for auditory processing, and then I went off and got him tested myself, and that was at the around the New Year. So I think it was an ARD meeting that was in maybe November of last year, maybe.
So your decision to have him tested on your own was after you filed the lawsuit, wasn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
But it was also after the last ARD meeting.
Okay. And then has he had an ARD meeting since then?
No.
Okay. So what really it boiled down to is that you and mom didn't agree on what to do for Jax because she wanted to follow the school recommendation, and you thought because you claim you had something in this affecting you in the past that you knew more than the people at school. Is that the way it boiled down to?
Yeah. Well, the school's recommendation was cut back on services
Okay.
on a kid who has dyslexia, and the state recommends 5 days a week or 30 minutes a day, and they're wanting to cut it back to 2.
Okay. But you're upset because mom wanted to follow that advice and you chose to be smarter than the school people who do this every day, right?
And refer them out to get into specialists, get tested. Correct.
Okay. Now, mom's never told you she's against speech therapy, has she?
No.
Okay. So we can get speech therapy regardless of where the kids live, can't we?
Correct.
Okay. We can get the services that the school provides regardless of where they live, can't we?
From talking with the people here in Hardin Jefferson, they don't do anything for auditory processing.
Okay. We can get the services that they recommend regardless of where the child lives, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't know, because when I asked them, they said that's something they don't offer.
Well, in any event, your plan is to continue with the child at this school year, no matter what the judge does, right?
If that's what the judge recommends, I do want to keep him, finish him off this school year until I find a better long-term solution for his education.
Right. So there's no urgency to make any decisions about changing custody for school purposes, correct?
For school purposes, no.
Because you're not going to change schools in the last 3 months of the school year anyway, right?
I'm not going to change my kid's school in the middle of the school year.
Right. So nothing's going to change with regard to Jax's condition, whatever it is, at least until school is out, right?
Correct.
Okay. So there's no urgency, there's no immediate danger to anything, there's no safety concerns about just keeping everything the way it is, correct?
For this school year, correct.
Right. Now, you told us you're investigating other school districts. What other school districts have you investigated in?
Humble ISD, highly rated throughout the state for special education. Clear Creek ISD, where all of Nanette's family lives around that area, the Clear Lake, Dickinson area. And also Friendswood ISD, which is also around where all of her family's from.
So you are intending to move then if you get custody?
I'm looking at seeing what the best education option is for my son.
You've told these kids they're going to be moving to Atascocita or somewhere in that area, haven't you?
I have not. I've never told them that.
So what are you going to do if the judge gives you custody ultimately, but it still imposes the geographic restriction of Jefferson and surrounding counties?
I'm going to have to find a private school, or I don't know. I need to find something better for my son, though, because the Hardin Jefferson ISD is not providing for his needs.
Well, I take it you didn't check with the Beaumont ISD?
I'm not going to be moving further away from work, also further away from work and family.
You didn't check with the mid-county school districts?
I have no connection out there. No.
You didn't check with the Liberty School District?
No.
You only checked with places that had some connection to your girlfriend or her family. Isn't that true?
Not to her family, to my ex's, your client's family in Clear Creek ISD and Friendswood ISD, where we came from originally, where her family is from.
All right. And when you do that, are you bringing grandma with you?
Yes. I need to provide for her because she's been helping me out.
And what if she's unable to go with you? How are you going to manage these kids on this fireman's schedule?
So I recently proposed to my girlfriend. She's now my fiance, and we do have plans to get married.
Okay. She's not moving to Nome, is she?
She is not moving to Nome. No.
Okay. So really, all this is about the ability for you to be able to take these kids over to her end of the world so you can marry her, live together with her in a Tascasita or whatever you want it to be, because you've already locked yourself into marrying her and she ain't coming to Nome. Isn't that correct?
I have not locked myself in marrying her. We're not putting a date on when we're getting married. We know that the kids are coming first and they're more important as far as the timeline goes. So if it takes us 4 or 5 years to get married, it's going to be 4 or 5 years. I need to make sure that the kids have the best education that they can get.
But in your mind, that's going to be where she lives.
She doesn't plan on staying there in Tascasita either.
Okay. But she ain't coming to Nome, is she?
She cannot either. She has geographic restrictions for her divorce and kids also.
Okay. So
But-
instead of her taking the case to court with her child's father to remove her geographic restriction, you've chosen to file for custody of your kids, hoping that you can convince someone on this end of the world to remove your geographic restriction so you can take your family to be with her family and have this mixed family there in Atascocita. Isn't that correct?
No, that's not correct. My purpose to try and remove the geographic restrictions is to go to a better school district. Happening to be closer to my girlfriend wherever we choose to live, that is a plus upside, whether she chooses to follow us or not.
Now, you told us earlier in your testimony that you didn't get overtime.
I said I do take overtime whenever
Okay.
I only take overtime whenever I don't have my kids with me.
Sometimes you have mandatory overtime, don't you?
It's rare. It's dried up some.
Okay. Then you told us about a doorbell ring chime thing at your house. Does that have the back door on the doorbell too?
No,
So when you say somebody can't get out of the house, you mean the front door, don't you?
there's correct, but for them to get out of the property, they're not going to be climbing over a big tall fence.
Okay.
They have to
But
go in the view of the camera,
but somebody can sneak in the house through the back door, can't they?
not without being seen on the front door camera because there is one way in.
Unless they climb a fence.
Then trespass through all the neighbors' yards. Sure.
All right. Well, teenage boys are willing to do a whole lot when they see their girlfriend, aren't they?
Sure.
Okay.
So that's why it's important that I teach my daughter the right things also
Right.
by example.
Right. You don't want her to get pregnant, do you?
No,
You're aware that she's sexually active now, aren't you?
so it was with her old boyfriend that we encouraged her to break up with. And that was actually the full story is my ex called me crying because she
Well,
found.
just a minute, sir. I object to that as not responsive, sir. Judge, it's
Okay.
a yes or no answer.
What was the question again then?
You know that she was sexually active in the past, don't you?
She was, correct.
Okay. You're assuming she's not now. That's right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you opposed to somebody getting her birth control, any other type of a birth control device?
I believe the best form of birth control is abstinence whenever it comes to children, and teaching them right by example, keeping them active in the youth group and church, which she is currently doing.
Well, it didn't work in the past.
Say again?
It didn't work before, did it?
No, but I've encouraged her to go to church, and she's found a youth group that she likes, and she's active with her boyfriend there. They go every Sunday, and she's learning the right things.
What would it hurt for her to have birth control pills?
Being that young an age, it messes with hormones.
So,
Developmental problems.
okay. How much do you make on your job right now? What was on your W-2 for 2023?
I don't remember. I think it was maybe around 117, I think, maybe.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Take a stretch if you need to.
Which is
when you are gone working your 48 straight hours, it's up to your ex-mother-in-law to take care of your kids, right?
Right.
What would happen if she's unavailable to do that?
While I'm scheduled to work or when I pick up overtime?
Well, right now, when you're scheduled to work the 48 hours straight.
I tell her beforehand and she's been available.
But what would happen if she's not available? What's your backup?
My backup. So she's always been there. And if there's any problem, I can work out childcare with having my sister come out or a friend, family friend, or anybody. If she has doctor's appointments during the day, she makes it a point to be back in time for Hayden to be there. So I'm sorry, she makes it a point to be there in time for Hayden.
So you would call somebody from out of town to come over and be a backup for your childcare needs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I live an hour and a half away from family, and I'll do whatever I can to help out.
Okay.
But there has not been one instance where Carla has not been available to help take care of Hayden.
Okay. I'll pass witness.
Mr. Stovall?
Nothing further for this witness, Judge.
Okay.
We
Well,
have some ancillary witnesses, but otherwise we would rest subject to rebuttal. And of course, pending your both, I guess, technically requests for judge to confer with the children.
Do you guys have, I mean, do y'all still, I've heard a lot, I've heard from both sides. I'm not expecting to hear anything surprising necessarily from the children. Do you, I know I have to, but do y'all still want me to interview the children, Jonathan? It's
One
up-
second.
And I'm going to ask you the same thing, Mel.
Judge, our position, at least as to the 14-year-old, would be yes.
Okay. Okay.
Primarily because she's been wanting to
Okay.
talk.
Okay. And all right. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and bring I guess
What?
you've got the 14.
Did you
Do
hear
you
the
want to
rest
say
of my
something?
testimony?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Mr.
you were
Witnesses?
finished. No,
No,
I
I'm not
thought you were finished. Who's your
I
next?
started.
Oh, who's your next witness?
I'll call Michael Reed, the boyfriend.
Okay. Hey, hang on one second, Mel. Let's go ahead and take a recess. It's been about an hour. Okay.
We're
All
back.
right. Okay. Mel, you were going to call a witness?
I'm gonna call Mr. Reed.
Okay. Mr. Reed, I don't think you were sworn in yet. Would you raise your hand? Would you swear him in, Kelly?
Yes, sir. In the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Would
Go
you
ahead.
tell us your name, please?
Michael Reed,
Mr. Reed, how old are you?
42.
Where do you work?
I work at Clarion Incorporated in Orange, Texas.
What is that?
It is a machining company that makes extrusion dies.
Can y'all hear me all right? Because I don't have the speaker in front of me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You're living with Annette, is that right?
Correct.
I just want to get testimony on a couple of different things only. First of all, do you and Annette have ever had any physical contact with each other as far as arguments?
Physical? No,
You ever done anything physical to the kids?
absolutely not.
There was an allegation by Mr. Stovall that you have some kind of felony conviction record. Do you have a felony conviction record?
No, sir.
You had a felony trial at one point in time, is that correct?
Correct.
And that case was overturned on appeal, is that right?
Correct.
So you have no felony convictions.
Correct.
You have a misdemeanor conviction that I guess y'all did as when the case got overturned, you did a misdemeanor to make it go away, is that right? Or something like that?
You can say that, yeah.
That's been way more than 10 years ago, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And he said, alluded to the court that you had spent time in prison. You ever been to prison?
No, sir.
Okay. Then let's talk about the incident with Hayden and the eating in the bedroom and Wi-Fi and all that. Did y'all have a rule at the house about not eating food, kids not eating food in the bedroom?
Yes, sir. We established that before we moved into the new place.
Did you ask or find Hayden to be violating that rule or ask her not to violate that rule?
Correct.
Okay. What happened when you asked her not to violate that rule?
I asked her not to do it again. And then when she refused and says, you can't tell me what to do, I told her I was going to pull the internet. She says, you can't do that. I'm going to still do it. And then, so I pulled the internet.
Okay. Is it your understanding that's when all the change in her relationship with her mother occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was it your understanding from conversations you overheard from Mr. Cochran that he had agreed if y'all had been together for 6 months that he wasn't going to argue about this live-in arrangement?
Yes,
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Stovall?
Mr. Reed, in 2006, when you appealed your conviction, which, by the way, it was a felony conviction before you appealed, right?
yes,
And that felony conviction at the time before your appeal was because you discharged a firearm. And I know the point of the appeal was whether to say it was at a person or not, but there was a firearm discharged and there was a family member involved, namely your brother, correct?
there was yes, my brother was involved, yes.
Yeah,
And the nature of
I'm objecting to that, Your Honor. It's remote. It's not a conviction.
no, it was a conviction. He
It's
got
not
his
a conviction.
conviction. He
It's
got
not
it
a
reduced.
Listen, overruled, but let's not stay on this topic for a long time, Mr. Stovall.
It was a felony, and the appeal resulted in it being a conviction on misdemeanor level. Is that correct?
No,
So you don't have a misdemeanor on your record, you don't think, right now?
no, I have a misdemeanor, but it's not because of what you were saying.
Understood. Okay. When did y'all meet, you and Annette? Let me rephrase that. When did y'all's relationship become official?
Her birthday, I believe.
Okay. And so I'll leave it at that. That's what she said. Okay. What is exactly your, where do you work? What do you do for a living? I need to know that real quick. Just
I'm a
generally.
CNC machinist at Cochran Incorporated in Orange, Texas.
Okay. And do you have any other children or any children at all yourself?
No, sir.
Okay.
But I am the godparent to my niece and to my friend's child. So I am with them on a semi-regular basis when I need to be, or this, that, and the other. So I have experience with some children.
Gotcha. Nothing further. Pass the witness.
Anything else, Mel?
No, sir. No further questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Do you have any other witnesses, Mel?
I'd like to call Mr. Cochran for just one quick question.
Okay.
Mr. Cochran, you took the kids to vacation with your girlfriend and some family members back in the summer of 23, didn't you?
Yes, to Utah for my sister's wedding.
And y'all all stayed in a Airbnb, didn't y'all?
I stayed there with my kids, yes.
And your girlfriend stayed there with other family members too, didn't she?
No, she did not. We got a hotel room for her.
Okay. That's not what you told everybody else. Did you just tell people?
No. Well, when it was all happening, there was a problem with the hotel reservations and we needed a place for Tiffany to stay. So I asked Annette, if we could not get this worked out, would she be okay if Tiffany, my girlfriend, stays in the house in a different room away from the kids? And Nanette said, sure, do whatever you want. And then I said, I will only use that if, paraphrasing here, if it's a last resort kind of thing. We ended up getting Tiffany a separate hotel room away from the kids. So at no point in time has she ever stayed the night with the kids, with me being there.
Ever? I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Stovall?
Nothing further from Mr. Cochran. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right.
We rest.
You rest. Any rebuttal, Jonathan?
Just motions to confer, Judge. That's all we got pending.
Okay. All right. So let's let me just start with the 14-year-old. Let me set up a breakout room, Jonathan, and
I was going to say we could walk her across the street if we need to.
almost. Yeah. Okay. I've got a
Gotcha.
breakout room. So if you'll just send her in, I'll meet her there. And I need to get Angie in there too. Sorry, Angie. I forgot.
That's okay.
There you go. Okay.
And then he'll put us in the breakout.
Is that what we're doing, Judge? We're just waiting until you.
Yeah.
Do that?
I'll be
Okay.
back in a minute.
Okay.
So Kelly, do you know why God made snakes before he made lawyers?
No, but I don't like snakes, so.
For practice. No. This is my lawyer joke I heard this week. It's the only one I can remember.
Okay. Any, you guys have anything else? Y'all have anything else? I don't think the kids said anything unexpected.
I have
So,
no additional evidence to offer at this time, Judge.
anything else? Okay.
No,
All right. I'll go ahead and, all right. I'm gonna leave Jackson is it Brina? Brina. Leave Jackson and Brina with the same schedule. Actually, Brina was afraid I was trying to make her choose, and I told her that that really wasn't what this is all about. So she seems pretty happy with that. I will let, let's see, Hayden, I'll live with her dad. But y'all just have to, but she still has visitation with her mom. I guess, I don't know, whatever best works for Mel and Jonathan. I mean, as far as I just want the kids, together at the same, basically on the weekends at the same place at the same time, if that's workable. Okay.
So like every other weekend and maybe
Yeah.
keep the same summer and holiday schedule.
Yeah, but listen, this arrangement, but starting on when school is out, I get, then what did y'all typically do in the summer, Mr. and Ms. Cochran?
June and July are split first 2 weeks and then second 2 weeks for each
Okay.
month.
It,
All right,
it's
so-
50-50 in the
Okay.
summer. Just
All right. So,
expected. I mean,
all right, so listen, I'll just say this, starting June 1st, y'all go back to the old schedule. And it's up, and I don't, so that means that unless we have a court hearing before then that means that, Hayden will go back to the every other week thing, okay?
well, for the summer, that's fine. And I'm thinking we can get this thing tried in the summer.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm just telling you this, what I'm telling y'all right this minute expires on, basically May the 31st, okay?
Okay.
All right, you understand, Mel?
no, sir.
Yes, I
All right, look, what I'm ordering as far as Hayden is concerned is only effective until June 1st. Then y'all go back to the old order, okay?
Well, what are you holding? I know you have Hayden live with dad. What's mama's time with Hayden?
Every other week.
Every other weekend, just as,
Okay.
try to coordinate that with the other kids so that.
When she has those other children, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
When she has them. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, every other week. I mean, when it's his weekend, for that, for the, 50-50, then Hayden needs to be with him. When it's mom's week 50-50, then Hayden needs to be with the mom and the kids for her weekend. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay.
And
Uh,
we want to make sure somebody enforces that, Judge, that makes her go.
Yeah, I mean, well, y'all,
She'll be available for pickup and we will strongly encourage her to go.
she's got to go. I mean, so she actually, when do y'all exchange? What day of the week?
Should be a Sunday. This week we worked out a special switch
Okay.
weekend, but
But
it's
for-
Sunday at 6.
Ordinarily when?
Sunday at 6 p.m.
Okay, so, and so if it's your week, starting on Sunday at 6, do you pick the kids up from her?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So mom, you on your Friday, on your weekends from now on, you just pick her up pick Hayden up at, let's say Fridays at 6. And then when he picks up the kids for his week, he can pick up Brianna and Hayden and Jackson. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all are following me, right, Jonathan?
I got you, Judge. I got you.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to make any adjustment for the child support, not for 2 weeks. So we'll leave that alone. Look, as far as the, I mean, I'm not lifting the morality clause. You guys are just going to have to, we'll deal with that on the final hearing. And that might be part of, I'm sure that might be part of Mr. Cochran's case, but, y'all are, the fact is that, Mr. Reed and Miss Cochran have been, if this was like a month or two after, they moved in, I might be able to fix it, but 6 months in, that's going to be a little, or more, that's going to be a little more tricky. So I'm not, and technically it's not an enforcement anyway. So, but you can bring in enforcement if you like. Don't, hey, no, both sides, no drinking around the kids, no marijuana around the kids. Don't be under the influence of marijuana or alcohol. I think that's it. So anyway, look, you both seem like you're pretty good parents, and it looks like you guys have tried to co-parent, and that's great. But y'all, if y'all don't straighten this out, this 50-50 thing isn't going to work. I'm just telling you. So y'all got to get on the same page. You know, your order basically says those kids, and y'all agreed to this, says, and I know I didn't order this, but that your kids have to go to Hardin Jefferson. And I don't think there's technically a geographic restriction. I didn't notice one, but it just says those kids got to go there. So I'm not changing that up anytime soon. Y'all, you know, this is just where we're at for the time being. All right. Any other clarifications that anybody needs? Jonathan?
No, Your Honor, I understand your order. Thank you.
Mel, do you need anything?
Colette says she understands it, so she'll help me.
All right. So we'll have a scheduling hearing on May the 8th. That's 60 days from now. And I'm going to order you guys to go to mediation.
I'm sorry, what was that date again?
May the 8th. And listen, ideally though, and let's not necessarily wait till May, because ideally I'd like to get this thing resolved by the summer. Okay. I don't want the kids to be all, anxious about what's going to happen next. So let's just move this along. Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
So, all right. So those will be my orders, and I'll see you. Oh, and happy birthday, Jonathan.
Thank you, Judge, and happy birthday to you. What, tomorrow?
Day after.
Day after. Happy early birthday. I will not be around to wish it in person. So
And I'm gonna. It's hard to turn 40.
43, Judge. Give me a little credit.
Oh, I was talking about me.
Gotcha. Oh, well, that's right. I mean, look, 39 doesn't last forever. I understand.
Yeah, that's true.
It lasted forever for Jack Benny. They just don't know who those young people don't know who Jack Benny is.
I know, that's true. That's true. I do. I know who Jack Benny is. And so, and Mr. Cochran, I'm just teasing with you a little bit, but I know that churches are a really good influence, but I will point out that I was Jonathan's Sunday school teacher, and
you were.
yeah, so I'll just leave it at that as far as this.
And here's how I turned out. So
Fun thing. We both served missions also. I was.
No,
also...
this was before I was
before.
a member of that church.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Predating that time.
Okay.
It was when I was a real little.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was very young, his Baptist days, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. All right. So I'll let you guys go. All right.
We'll
Good
see.
luck. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.